Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Once again, at short notice. Tato no fo ina'a. Kako kokofo iga. Ulona tama. Olona teme. Olana ma. Lagi. Pepa lagi. Ifaga. Mata. Itogo. Mata. Gagena fa a olola. Gagena fa a mata. Ava lagi fa'a popoga. Saofa'i. Tulafole. Alile. Mata. Gagenga fa'ata mata. Gagenga fa'amata. Tofu sofua. Tadofa. Telofa malo. Tofa soefue. Fa. O amao. Mana lava. Pa'efete. O a lo igoa. Let's sit there. Let's sit there. Here's her father. Her child. The island of Sangvich, bursting forth. Heavens, Europeans, war goddess, begging forgiveness, must kneel down. Fine mat, atoning for your humility in front of the perpetrator. Shown of honor or defiance among friends in public situations. SAMOAN ceremony. Karaba ceremony. Funeral. Wedding. Title investiture. Orators. Chiefs. Title of a chief for a man or a woman. Respect language used for genealogy for contextual family members. Practice where a spokesperson speaks on behalf of the non-Samoan visitor. Goodbye. Hello. Hello. Hi. Goodbye. Bye. How are you? Fine, thanks. What's your name? I'd like to start out with the Black Church. The reflexive of the teachings, church. A lot of singing and dancing in the Black Church. Homosexual guy was the best singer in the choir, am I right? Contextually, all the way the women treat the children is very disrespectful. In traditional days, there were women put into a category when they were overdeveloping. They're put in category as being promiscuous, even though they're just children. Developing, overdeveloping, too much, not enough. Young people were disciplined pretty harshly. They were, emasculated. Make the young boys slaves to the old women in church. And the men in charge of church were exhibiting false masculinity and teaching the children, the boys mainly, to continue this legacy of false masculinity. as this was the optimal way for these men to function in the church context. This is an experience, it's a massive infantilization of the black male, a performance, an elaborate performance. They weren't as holy as you think. It was really a narcissistic triangulation type tactic. People were overly dressed. The women were wearing crowns. It was an act, yes. The backflips, the MC Hammer dancing, the speaking in tongues, sweating, mucus on the face, the women at the door, the vestibule. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. See, they were type of coaching, yes. And then a person was good. So they would go from different churches to service them for an adjusted price, of course, not for full prices, just to be like a servant. In particular, when I was in California, I went to a Greek church, an Armenian church. And there were some traditions. In the Greek church, I used to kiss the ring. I had to speak in Greek. I had to prostrate myself. I had to do this. I still don't know what it is after 20 years. But it was strained. It was so much loud talking. It was more strained talking. More instruction was given. More instruction was centered to find a meaning as a moral in the story. There was a lot of shouting. There was a lot of ostracization. There was this, your ass gonna bust hell wide open. It wasn't anything like that. It was more business side of church, selling the dispensation of Christ, the word, the message. Was in particular very, very direct, but it was not very threatening. Also, there was a lot of disrespect for Baptists because we're a Protestant church. There would be kind of like gangs, rival gangs. It's like Texas places have a lot of churches. Like everywhere you can see is a church in sex, S-E-C-T-S, sex, not S-E-X. And I wonder why there were so many divisions, so many different classes of people. The same common goal to glorify the gospel and God, to embody that, to follow the philosophy and be good Christians. The recycled person, those who's gone through years of sin, that lives their lives in a wayward manner to where they would not be concerned with consequences, and they would try to pluck a man that would be in the pulpit, a deacon or priest or youth pastor or something, and try to lock these men down because they had an aura, the hierarchical structure. They were really in charge of the church. It is not because they were in the church, but it's because they have a hierarchical structure. They had a bit of status in the church. So in that effect, that they would seek out a measure of power, a quantum of solace. Isn't it anathema that a young man could go to college and possibly transcend the ideology of the recycling of these simps back and forth to church pipeline, being mixed with meek men who embrace rap music, who chase women and not to measure them just because they have a giant booty that they're much more valuable than they are. Like a man is not valuable at all. He's very disposable. But a woman is valuable just because she is a woman, not even based on her physical appearances or negatives or positives or secondary traits. There's prominent positions taken up in the church a great deal from the Greek and Armenian churches, also the Protestant churches in the South. There was always a smell. There was a lot of halitosis. And the leadership in the church, in the church changed that there were a lot of women filling these roles, speaking much. In the performance, they were the center stage. They were the ones giving the voice, mostly in the church. And sequentially, I thought that the man should be doing this. But yes, they gave these titles to the woman. Why, though? Why would they go to false prophetess, to speak the word? But they're not. They had the Bible in their hand, yet they're not reading from the Bible. They were making their own words from a television show they had seen and interspersing that into the gospel and preaching it to your children and your husband and everyone in the audience to gain attention from an elaborate rehearsal to imbrue the understanding of the dispensation of the gospel. The Bible is sort of reference now, a reference book. It's not even the guide anymore. Could a guidebook, the Bible, actually be an instructional manual? Of course not. But why would they use it in the hand, but use the direction of what they're saying from some YouTube clip or talk show or something that their aunt said or their mum and them said, or the cats and dogs had said, with the squirrel and the rat and the snake and dog together had not logically, like interspersed one word, and people didn't know because they didn't understand what the message was about, because they were using like little pieces of the Bible, Acts 2:38 and John 3:16, and I got to do my wig, and yes, you got some lip gloss on your lip, I'm better than you. You know, it was kind of like a Shalama Lama lemonade watermelon like or sugar version of the Bible. It was progressive, sort of involving people that aren't involved, but finding a way to force them to be involved just to have sort of equality representation, a diversity hiring. Something makes you think this is not the way it's supposed to be. Is it faith healing that you just think that because this person used colorful words that they're somehow your spiritual leader? All the time, any political movement is always centered around the church. There's a cult of think. It's not the church. It is an ideal philosophy, like a snowball, club it together, like in the same patterns of church, as if a cult would be this group thinking. The church alone concentrate masculinity, true masculinity, individual positivism, idealism, strength to power, is not cultivated in the church alone. One must seek and have hybrid vigor to endeavor to learn what masculinity is. So wearing silver jumpsuits and prancing around a house with a white woman's wig, is that masculinity? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. I'm trying my best. Don't answer that. I don't wear. Okay, I have worn in public sometimes. I have worn in public. I must admit, I have worn in public, but I'm not always. Yes, this man at once that is prancing around a blonde wig with silver dressings and such, prancing around like some fairy. I'm doing this in the comfort of a safe space. I'm not advertising this. I'm not trying to get attention. Well, a measure of attention, quantum of solace. I mean, he may be a bit. But there must be a better way to pursue masculinity for these young boys than to just simply go to church and think that it's all sorted that way. Or even the college institution, where a lot of women are there to extract that masculinity from the man, put it into themselves, and then question why the masculine man has lost his masculinity and is now undesirable because it's simply an ATM machine. Those are just my thoughts. Well, South Pacific Craze book has not been written in quite a long time. No one speaks Samoan. They're pretty big. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. 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 And goodbye. Goodbye.